Hey, Mark, you there?
Yeah, Tommy, I'm on.
Somewhere.
New baby for the luck. All right, folks, about ready to get started here. We have every board member present. So I'm gonna get this meeting started, 6:02, 3:31. Quorum has been established. We do have all 7 board members here. Approval of prior minutes. Motion to approve the prior minutes. Did anyone have any questions on that? I know Johanna, you did get a chance to review them. They were sent out.
Yeah, it's fine.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Officer reports. I don't have much. The only report that I have for you all is we do have a new hire, James
Parks.
James Parks is the maintenance guy, and he is starting on Monday, which is great. I met with 2 different candidates, and he was one that fit the bucket list, the qualifications. He lives nearby, and he's eager to work. And he's eager to work and stay. It sounds like he's looking for a good long-term position. So hopefully everything works out great with him, and we'll start onboarding him as soon as possible. Any other officer reports from anyone? Okay, community manager report.
Right. Board, in your packet, we will have some items at the end of the packet you can look at. SwiftMud did their inspection of the north end of the lake. It passed inspection, and a report was sent to SwiftMud. SwiftMud didn't do the inspection. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. An engineer that we hired did the inspection. The inspection was sent to SwiftMud. And
To whom? I'm sorry.
to SwiftMud.
Swift Mud.
So Southwest Florida Water Management District. Everybody calls it, that's too long, so it's shorter to SwiftMud.
All right.
And so that inspection is good for 5 years. We don't have to do it again for 5 years. Also attached is your annual fire system inspection for these 3 buildings here, which passed, no repairs needed. Work order report and violations report from the last 30 days. Dates of importance, we have the ARC rewrite for the workshops next week, scheduled for the 5th, 6th, and 7th at 6 p.m. here in the Lake House. The CDD board meeting is Thursday, April 7th at 10 o'clock here in the Lake House. Community yard sale, the evening of April 29th, and then in the morning times till noon on April 30th. Then it passed tonight, we have the summer group swim lessons for the kids, scheduled for June 27th to July 1st from 10 to 12 noon. And again, it passed. I'll put some in Town Square and Facebook. February financials were provided to the board and finance committee and posted on March 17th. Delinquencies, 20 files were sent to the attorney on March 16th due to non-payment. In the last 30 days, Mankin had collected $4,400. Your February delinquency went down from 36,373 down to 25,356.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
That $4,400 from Mankin, his fees are already taken out of that number?
Was what?
Are his fees already?
Yeah, her fees are already taken out. She collects that directly from, yeah, and then she sends us, so it's a clean posting on the ledger. So I stated the February delinquency is 25,356. I pulled a delinquency as of today, just to give you an idea. The amount that is at the attorney is $8,453. Your notice of late assessment, which is your second notice, $2,850.12. So things are coming down. Of course, that'll change when April's hits and, you know, the ledgers will go up, but we're getting a lot of people that are also signing up for direct debit too, so that helps. The 2021 taxes, finalize that and waiting for a signature. I'll need that by tomorrow. The audit, I provided the draft of the 2021 audit to you and the finance committee on the 18th, and it's on this agenda. 10 new owners were in March, moved in. The playroom was set up, and believe me, the kids are enjoying it. We actually had one little girl that cried to be let in. It's adorable, but all contracts have been updated on Town Square. The approved policy for spending authority from last month was downloaded on the Town Square. 2022 insurance renewals. The binded policies have been uploaded to Town Square. I received the drafts of the reserve study and made sure that all the common assets were accounted for properly. One of the things I know, Tommy, we talked about was the roofing. And I did talk to Steve today about that. He did put in there 18 years lifespan for roof replacement. He feels comfortable with that, with where the current industry is. So we'll leave that at that.
What about our insurance on that?
Well, you don't carry insurance on the individual homes.
Okay.
We're talking about roof replacement and scheduling. So he's put in at 80. And the reason why I'm saying this is because a few years ago, there was several insurance companies that would come back and say to homeowners, we're not renewing your insurance, you're gonna have to get it replaced, and that would be anywhere from 15 to 18-year lifespan. When most HOAs who did have the responsibility to replace had their reserves set for 20 years or 22 years. He's seeing a commonality of about 18 years. And plus, if you do have an insurance company that comes in and does that, you can always get a certified roofer to come in and inspect and state that this has so much lifespan, and you can send that to, give that to the homeowner, and they'll have coverage. So we'll leave that at 18 years. I provided all of that to you guys today, and I did put a notice in there that he's available either the week of April 11th or 18th. So we can schedule something to meet with him, compile all your questions so you can ask him. It's either the week of April 11th or the 18th. So I asked for y'all to get back with me on which dates and times work best for you guys, and I'll take an average, or the one that the date and time is picked the best, because he's open. Sandpiper Crest Townhomes, recently you did the amendment to the driveway aprons, and also there was a settlement on that from Park Square. They paid out the HOA the $40,000 to reimburse legal and document revision costs. That was posted to the legal reimbursement funds GL count 4720 on March 15th. So you'll see that in your March financials. Your HVAC quarterly maintenance for this area, these two buildings, was completed on the 29th. Pool repairs for the splash pad at the kids' pool. We turned the water off. The reason why is because we don't want any more damage done to the parts. A lot of the kids play, things get broken naturally or just by playing. So we've turned the water off. The pool contractor has tried to contact one pool company, had no luck. Finally found the manufacturer who's located in Canada. And they're on average getting back to people within 3 weeks. He's waiting for them to come back with prices and a timeline to get these parts. So we talked today, he's reaching out again tomorrow to find out. Once he gets those prices, then he can let me know, I'll let you all know. Then we can move forward with the repairs. Fitness center repairs were made March 23rd to 2 treadmills. They're having incline problems. And we're waiting on a control for one of the other ones. I still have a out of order sign on that. Pool deck, pressure washing, that's on your agenda. Sagewood Gate, I am getting quotes for quarterly maintenance. That'll be on your agenda for next month. There were some recent repairs made. Several causes were underperformance in-house repairs in the past and large vehicles hitting the gate. So what we did was we had it open, both gates are opening on ingress and egress, because the trucks that are coming through there, whether they're delivery trucks or the trash trucks, are hitting the gate and damaging it. Westlake fence, I have one quote compiled. I'm waiting on 2 others. The board, you requested for replacement of the existing fence with a composite, or with the wooden, or repairing. The first quote was quite scary, just to let you guys know. But I have another one coming next week to inspect, and I'm waiting on a third to call me back. So that is on your April agenda. The problem is that when it was installed, it wasn't installed in concrete. None of the posts were, so they're leaning and they're not stable. Landscaping schedule as of April 1 next week. Sunrise will be on a weekly maintenance for all of the common Sagewood, paired villas, and Sandpiper townhomes. Once you decide tonight on one of the items for landscaping, then we can move forward with the remaining of the mulch install, which if we can get that approved, then we can start that late April. I will skip over the Westlake landscaping since it's on your agenda. Irrigation controllers cave in Sagewood was repaired February 21st. Oak trees were completed. CDD issues. Wall cleaning on the south side of the pool. There is a walkway with some short retaining walls. So while I was getting quotes for pressure washing around the pool area, which is on your agenda tonight, I got a quote for the CDD. Also, I forwarded it to them on March 25th so they could clean them. And Debbie came back and said that they have a pressure washing company that will be doing that in some other areas also. We reported some graffiti at the barbecue pavilion on March 25th to them. A resident over at Sagewood came to the CDD meeting in January and reported to them about the cypress trees that are around the retention pond within Sagewood on the north side. When it was reported to Debbie, manager of Rosetta, she announced that that was the responsibility of the HOA. I informed Debbie that the maintenance map that they are providing or working off of does not show property lines. If you go on the property appraiser's website and you look at that area, those cypress trees are within the property lines of the CDD. She basically came back and said that it was discussed at the last CDD meeting with the district engineer, and the CDD will be following their maintenance map. I don't know where their maintenance map came from. It's a colored map. It does not show property lines. So that's an open issue right now. Same thing that I keep on my report about the maintenance of the retention pond. The CDD is not mowing up to the sidewalk, which is also within their property line. So I forwarded all the open issues to Tommy. Again, their meeting is next week. Please attend. And that is the conclusion of my report.
Thank you.
And then when was the meeting start?
Their meeting is the first Thursday of every month at 10 o'clock. So next Thursday
Oh, okay.
in this lake, in the lake house.
Okay, so that's their meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Do they do,
No, go ahead.
do they have a Zoom link? Or do you have to be there in person?
No, you have to physically be at their meetings at 10 o'clock on a work day.
I've addressed this with the CDD directly. They refuse to have any audio recordings, any Zoom links of any kind, and you will not get a response unless you are there in person, 10 a.m. This Thursday.
I did notice on the Facebook page that someone requested and called management about adding trash cans to some of their common areas. And the response was, please come to our meeting to request. So they don't even take written requests. I don't know if it's because they're a governmental, I don't know what their rules are. I don't follow their rules.
We're gonna find out.
But showing up at their meeting physically is gonna be important.
Okay, Sean, we had missed you earlier. I'll backpedal the officer report. Yeah,
Paperwork here. I was home members of you. I spoke to the town about taxes, so I want to tell you that.
Need some help with check? What else is this? If you can go.
do we have any more? Or, yeah, or just. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this
It's changing,
No, I
a
don't.
little small.
is for correcting. After this,
Yes,
thanks.
I think this is just the.
Not this one?
I can talk about some of the things on the related to the report, but.
But if I can move you though, the closer you are, the marking here.
So, I did review the taxes against the last financials that we received, and there are discrepancies in the numbers. So I spoke to the accountant today, he sent me a copy of the draft that he received, and the numbers are different. So, the taxes have to be revised. He did take into account that they filed automatically files an extension for companies, so we have an extension to the 17th of October, although the extension for the state filing is fairly simple as in May. So I still have intent to meet with him tomorrow. He called me in his car and he called me up to his office and send me pictures of files. So we're going to try to meet tomorrow and go over the numbers correctly. So that's where that stands at this point. These are a couple items that are kind of open on my plate at this point. I requested signature cards to be brought to the meeting so that we have 2 officers on the signature cards. That was something that Heather I hadn't seen anything back from that yet.
It's on the agenda for the board to decide who's gonna be on those, and then we can go ahead and order that.
Okay. The Florida amended annual report is missing the treasurer off of it, which is an officer of the corporation. Just saw that, looked at it before. Published budget issues. The published budget that's on Town Square is actually got some transition errors and some things that were combined that was different than the original budget we approved. So that probably needs to be rectified at this point. I have examples of that, when we get to changing it. I think it would be prudent, and this is after talking to some people on the finance committee, to have a office equipment inventory with serial numbers and useful life on them. Not only for the reserve study, but just so that we can keep track of it for theft or shrink, whatever that may be.
Yeah. I remember that.
I did send everyone in the room a copy of the revised 7/27/18 charter that was revised in 2022. Published copy of it. You have that in PDF format at this point. That came up because Kathy mentioned something about references to 7/18. The references that were brought up at your meeting don't seem to jive to the current version of that copy. So we want to probably work with George with that. State of affairs, this is this report's for technically, and we went over and extended the spreadsheet that was started for the budget to put actuals as opposed to the estimated amounts for November, December, and came up with the real numbers from all the financial reports. Those financial reports, reflect the actual surplus or deficit for each segment. Those are included here on the report I just gave you. So what we projected is in the first column. What actually turned out is actually in the third column, and there were some credits and or surpluses posted to accounts that don't amount to the ones that were actually in the budget. So they don't balance. So the corrected ones on the right side are actually extended ones through February, and you can see that they're at this point. If we pay back what was owed according to the budget that we approved, we will be negative $14,636 as of February 28th. So we are looking in deficit numbers, but the reality is that the bank accounts reflect more money than actually should be on the balance sheet. And that's something that I don't fully understand because I don't know where it came from. There's no numbers that provide a balance for that, a reconciliation. So we're not cash shy, we're just budget shy, if that makes sense to you. So the reality is that I'm recommending that we make these transfers into the appropriate ledger codes to try to clarify what's going on moving forward. Also, because the money's in the account. And then, so that we're working on a master budget that actually has this much money in the account, and that's what we're working with. So if that makes sense to you guys. So I will, this report will give you that information with you. And we can kind of get some feedback to that later on and get it to the, the accounting team and associate. So that's the coverage of what I did this week. So we'll see if we can do over here. Any questions?
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, one thing that you have here on the state of affairs that you didn't mention, Sean, was about the delay in payment on invoices.
Correct, thank you for reminding me. We're seeing posting on the invoices to be either delayed by receiving or in the posting process, I don't know where, but it causes somewhat of a surge in things. So at the end of the year, it looked like we were cash ahead, and really if they had posted everything timely, we would have been cash behind. And so basically, in deficit. So now that surges in the first quarter and it throws off the numbers for the first quarter because they should have been posted to 2021. So there are things, and then there's some invoices that, just like our landscaping bills aren't getting paid on a monthly basis. They either send them to us late and then they work together. Don't know what's causing the problem. It's just something we try to rectify to try to keep the account a little more streamlined.
And if I could interject it and notify you guys that in my report, they were not sending the bills, so they're all caught up, they're all accounted for, and they'll be accrued properly.
And that's, we're talking about landscaping specifically on that, but there are.
That's what I was talking about. Sunrise was not billing some of them.
Yeah, I saw the budget for that, but there are others too. So that's-
And did you, obviously you talked to Sunrise about this.
Hmm?
Obviously you talked to Sunrise.
Oh, absolutely. It's only Sunrise that's the only landscaping bills that we have, is from Sunrise.
But there are other invoices from other things like electric and so forth that won't post time. So I don't know if they're being held up or not. I'm just saying that's what we're saying.
No, we can talk to Richard and Julie about that, but utilities are never held up. In fact, we just put them through yesterday and I just approved them tonight. So
Is it,
we'll have to find out what delay you're talking about. If you want to sit down and go through all of these things, that would be great. I'd definitely take some time to do that.
Yeah, I've already done that. I can see what's happening. I just can't explain it. So the I'd like to be able to explain it, but I can't for you guys. So
so is it, we're saying that the utilities or invoices, or you're seeing that some sort of
they're
delay?
being paid not on a monthly basis. They're being paid sometimes 2 at a time or sometimes 3 at a time. Like we haven't paid some utility bills since December, and it's tomorrow's second quarter already.
Is that just a problem with the reflection of our
He
invoices?
hasn't sat down and gone with me over any of these invoices, so I can't speak on it until I know specifically what he's referring to.
All right, well, I think we
I
need
mean, I
to,
provided the financials over a week ago, so. So, I mean, if you want to get with me and let me know what those invoices are, I can explain it, or we can find out what the problem is. I don't have any time always available for that.
Yeah, it does take us quite a while to go through the numbers line by line, so there's that many things to look at right now. So a week is actually decided time.
And Heather, you post these in C3, right? And
No,
then
those are strong, they go to stronger.
it goes strong. Okay.
And the minute that they come to me, I pay bills twice a day. I check in the morning, I check in the afternoon.
But from the time that it actually gets posted now, someone in associates doing the posting.
Yeah, what I'll do is I get a bill, scan it over, and I keep it in a folder. And we date that. So that if I don't see it come through my queue within 2 days, I'm questioning where it is in the process. Utilities never delay, so we're gonna find out where these bills are. If they go longer, then I'm gonna submit it again and escalate it up. So I keep track of the bills, and I will hold on to those bills until they're approved.
Doubling back to the taxes, just to let you know, they're discussion with the accountant was also about what is exempt income and what is not exempt income. Something I wanted to talk to John about a little bit too, because in HOAs, only the fees that are attributed to the association dues or fees for those dues, not NSS or late charges or pool cards or any of those things are supposed to be part of the exempt income. The only thing we show on non-exempt income right now is the rent. And so that number seems to be wrong. To let you know, there's also deductions been itemized on it that I can't, I don't have any basis for. It looks like it's a calculation based on hours or space or something of that nature. He's gonna explain that to me. He didn't know because he's doing, like, I'm sure John has 1,700 tax reports. He has to look at his notes. So I want to know what the basis is because it looks like a random number for administrative fees and costs associated with the rentals. That would be deductible on those cases if they're actually valid expenses. But whatever is left over is taxable at 30%. So if we include all the exempt income, we're looking at a tax liability of about $4,000 from what I can tell. So that's important to note because that obviously is not something that we budgeted for this year. Last year, we did not report any revenue from non-exempt income as being taxable, including the rents, which is problematic.
Okay.
So we have to, okay.
You have any questions on that? As of now?
Any questions?
Well, no, if the financials that you're looking at, Sean, are incorrect, given to the taxes, then the ones that went to the auditor probably are
To
not
be quite
correct.
honest with you, I haven't even looked at the audit. It took, I know people don't realize, but I work approximately 20 hours a day in addition to what I do for you. So it takes me a bit of time to get two things. That was my next task, was to get into the audit and see if it matches the financials. If they don't, then we have another problem. The report that the accountant had for the taxes said draft on. It
Yes,
was
it
not a
did.
final copy.
And that is exactly what they're gonna be until you guys approve them. There are journal entries that the auditor has in those. So once the audit is approved, then those journal entries go to accounting. They will make those journal entries, and then we will have a audited December 2021 financial that'll go out to the community. So right now, your December financials are unaudited.
And we're calling taxes against it. Okay, so that's all I have for now.
Okay,
Thank
committee
you.
reports. Thank you, Todd. Committee reports.
Oh, yes. We have the Easter egg hunt scheduled for the 16th. We currently have sold 79 tickets. We're right now at a sale total of 385. I've so far purchased about 1,500 eggs. 1,000 of them are currently filled and ready to go. We have a sign, and then I'm looking into the possibly doing a little magic show. That's kind of something that's underway as far as potentials of events that to incorporate into this whole thing. I think we have food trucks scheduled.
We do. I just did a post on that maybe an hour ago. So.
Oh, okay, good.
Food truck, same day, same place, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
So, so the event starts at 4 with everything. I'm gonna have everyone do a check-in at 3:45. Everyone is supposed to be there around that time. I'll be there, of course, early to check people in early if they want to get there, but I'm gonna do about a 15-minute check-in, and then we're gonna start the little kid section, and then immediately after that, we'll just do the big kids. We think having everyone there at the same time is better than, you know, people coming at different times because some people do not start. I'm going to do a bracelet system. I also purchased those. I'm going to send you all these invoices. So there should be some invoices from Amazon and the what's the other one? I want to see Gypsy. there's an invoice coming.
You'll send that to me.
Yeah, I will be sending that over to you for those, and then we just, I haven't figured out how to set up for this accounting portion of, in this, we have about, I think it's a week following the tickets, the money can then be deposited into the bank. So far, what we're doing is doing a transfer thing, but this is where we're at. We're kind of on budget on that, if we just do the eggs, if we add on to then it might be go over, so it'll go into the community activities, but you know, Easter's a big thing, so I think it's might be worth it. But right now, we're pretty much on target. We'll see as we get increased participants, but that's the big thing that's up and on. For the next meeting will probably be, I want to say, what are we at? Hopefully coming up here. Might do, oh, we have some volunteers and we have an Easter bunny. So I will get back to all the volunteers. I know people are you know, I just got things set up to do the volunteering, and I'll be contacting those people that I did are volunteering to get a little free ticket. They can give it to a sibling or someone else that wants to participate in the hunt, and they don't have to pay if they are doing volunteer work. So for us, so that's pretty much it for that.
Okay. Perfect. All right, we have no other committee reports. We're gonna move on to new business. All right, folks, board member terms. I'm making a motion here to discuss the terms of officers for the board.
You know, you don't have to make a motion to discuss something.
We are for now. Would anyone like to second? So we do need to discuss terms. We are going to see some form of email going around.
It's just a sign else.
Okay.
After discussing it. Basically, it's a statement about the number of officials who are given here. Minimum fixed or maximum that. For the terms to try to get the maximum amount of directors. So in the 2-year term scenario, it gives us 3 board members at any given time that's overlapping with the director. If it on a year that the 7th, of course, when we start filtering 2 out for the first year and 2 out the second year, because the previous directors would always say that for election. So that works on us as well. The idea for the 3-year term, which is pretty standard in my experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to stay that way. It gives us a better four minimum members or more over a period of time as the transition changes. One of our members of the election committee decided they would thought about doing AARs for books for each officer to transpire to that place. Which I absolutely agree with. The problem with that is that those documents become lengthy and sometimes never get read. So sometimes it's great to have a body that can pick up some of the ropes from the people that have already done something. So the longer term seems to be a more appropriate way to look at it. That's just my suggestion.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're on a 2-year. It's in our bylaws.
Right.
So until we do the
Amendment to your bylaws with this anyway. So
Well, this is not something we can vote on, then it's just in the
Well,
discussion.
no, actually, it's just, we're looking at the 2-year terms, here, right? So
Yeah.
it comes down to,
one is a recommendation to modify bylaws and get there. The other one's a recommendation to do it.
and
Makes sense.
Oh, okay.
I agree with those. They're just, we're not there yet, but they're good recommendations for sure to reflect on the future. But for right now, we gotta make a choice because we have to have staggered. So, the proposal here is 3 directors at the lowest vote count have a 1-year term expiring in 2023. 4 directors at the top vote count expiring in 2024.
Well, I maybe understand that. I don't necessarily agree. I think I kind of think the people that took an officer's positions should be prolonged rather than people that chose to be just the director. That's my thought, because you want to maintain your officers, the people that are in the leadership, unless someone wants to take that role. I don't see the point of just basing on
Well, this scenario will affect any officer on the board.
what,
The two lowest voted candidates are not officers at the moment.
well, and I understand that, but I would, if we're gonna rewrite or consider rewriting, I would want to take in consideration who stepped up and was voted as the leadership. And take that into account as well. It's just randomly just saying, okay, this person got so
So
many.
let me be the devil's advocate in that scenario. I'm saying it's wrong way, I just want to say what can be construed. Someone comes in, they get the least amount of votes, you guys decide, it would be odd for the least amount of votes to become the president, but it's certainly possible. And if that happens, you're saying that they will get a longer term and a 2-year term instead of a 1-year term, is what the scenario is.
Well, yeah, but, one would assume that the board members have made a good decision on what they made the leadership. It goes on to reflects back on, of course, to us, that decision, but.
Also, in my opinion, this is pretty much a one-time problem.
This one is,
Yeah, I'm not seeing how it could really repeat itself.
well, it can, what if we have 4 resignations?
That's what you would need, right? I find it unlikely, but
It's not unlikely, actually. I've seen where people get to a point where they, I'm just not gonna run it.
no, fair enough. If there's mathematically it's possible.
But to write the provision for an officer, that's,
Well, I'm just saying that I think that should be in some sort of way of consideration as well. I mean, I'm not saying this cannot be, but I'm saying I think that should also play into the factor, because we do not want to lose, leadership just because, for that reason. Unless someone had an intention of stepping up, there's a plan in place to step the, next person up. That maybe was, I just want that in consideration, how we want to move someone else, have some sort of program or consideration, make sure we always have officers and our leadership intact.
so, I mean, the argument there is that you want more overlap, which is kind of the second argument is the proposal, but I'm not sure. There's also play in it, you have to think about. The play is that if an officer is elected with a 2-year term and they all have some votes, assuming that's what we're going to do, then their term, of course, they can only be an officer for two terms anyway. So, according to the bylaws, so that would put them, trying to think out if they were a 1-year term, they wouldn't be able to fulfill the 4-year term, so it makes some sense, so to say. So if you made all officers a 2-year term, then, an election, then that makes a little bit better sense to keep it streamlined to 2 terms for an officer. Because you get reelected as a director as many times you want.
Tom, there's a question. What is the proposal? President and VP 2 years and all others 1?
no, the proposal is top four highest voters get a 2 year, bottom 3 lowest vote count get a 1. I would put Michael McMahon, Mark Rosenthal, John Deere, and myself at a 2 year, Johanna Wells, Kathy Mercer, and William at a 1.
So we would make us 1 year versus what we already have as 2 year from now?
No, I mean, your term would be up for reelection.
Yes,
You want to-
Re-election in 1 year. Using that example.
Okay,
So it does affect Johanna, I forgot that she was the number 5 on the list.
Here's the problem, folks. I understand everyone wants to. The issue here is we don't really have a choice. We have to stagger this. Unless anyone has any other better way to do it, even before seeing this was my exact proposal.
The language that she's proposing there could be done fairly simply, that, officers receive a 2-year term, that would be 4 all the time, though, so you would only ever change out 3, which is fine, or
Well,
less.
I'm okay with that too.
I'm for what I'm suggesting at this point, but unless unless other people want to take the position, that I guess I can understand, but I think it's 2 years makes sense for an officer.
I agree. It's hard to get anything accomplished in 12
And
meetings.
that's the reason for the 3-year term.
I agree with that too. I don't necessarily disagree with Johanna on this one because, again, as we talked, of course, this could happen again. We need 4 people to resign. But right now, this is a unique situation where no one's resigned. We just,
It's time to elect everyone.
It's time to
What we're
elect
trying to
everyone.
avoid the next time we start with a whole fresh board.
so, okay, so there's the other option is all officers get a 2. Non-officers get a 3. I mean, 1 year. That would put
Mark will
myself,
actually puts 4 officers for the election. I mean, 4 directors.
yeah,
To further say that the bottom 3 of those will be up for the election as opposed to all 4 of them.
right.
I think that, having the officers elected each time we have a new board, that is every year, makes the most sense because we do have a limit on, officers of how many times they can run.
For officer,
Right.
no limit for director.
Correct. So, so I think each officer, if they'll be reelected or want to be reelected, that they have to show they can do the job for another year. Sometimes the office position, people count. And it also keeps them moving through on a quicker basis as opposed to stabilizing the directors committee. And, the new board coming in, whether it's 3 or 4 people coming in at a time, that's a new board.
Sure.
They have a different feeling about what they have to do.
Sure. I hear what you're saying. My gut is, it's not because of me. I'd rather take the 1 year. But the reality is, John, as a vice president, treasurer, or secretary, by the time you get used to what we're doing here, you're gonna be 6 months. And by the time 3 months pass, you're gonna be running for your life. You really don't want your leadership in the board having to do that every time.
The other issue that comes about is if by attrition, if each officer can only serve 2 years, eventually they get either pushed off the board or become a director and someone else has to come. So the other thing you have to remember is that we're looking at the group of people that are participating, and typically I've only seen about 3 new faces in 3 years that have been involved here. So the reality is that there's not going to be a whole lot of people wanting to sit at the board, and then we have that problem. What do we do? Terms are over, we can't run. Oh my God, we have to start recruiting them or driving people in from the street to make this work. That's a problem as well. I'm not advocating someone to stay on the board forever. I'm not advocating somebody to be president forever. But we do have an issue with trying to fill seats. I'm just thrilled that we filled them all this year. I mean, it's great. All right, just thoughts.
So, folks,
So it seems to me that we're saying either you use vote count to decide, which is the members voting, correct? Or you're making the decision to use, or suggesting to use the board to vote for officers. I don't see how it seems to be separate.
it is separate, and I think what I'm suggesting is, in that suggestion is we need to pick one for this term. I think terms going forward, vote count makes sense. As a matter of fact, I think it makes sense now too. I think I would always do vote count, but the question is, what do you do now?
Well, I don't,
Everyone's been up for election this time. I hope it's never happens in the future, but what do we do now?
well, I don't know if we can, I mean, at this present, I think we're bound by the bylaw. I don't think we just have the leniency of, okay,
We do, because we must stagger.
Because we don't have a term out, a
But-
election staggering in the laws. It should be an addendum or a rule that have to be placed.
so has this really been, I'm just really confused how we can, we just decide, or is that what the bylaws state, that we can decide to stagger, or does it not state? Because when I read it, I did not
There's no
Well-
reference either way.
There's, yeah,
No,
there's
well,
nothing either way right now.
I thought it was that we continued.
There was a continuation of stagger from board turnover that never happened. That's why we're where we are.
It didn't, yeah, and Bond, Judge, it would have continued in that stagger if you'd had the annual election last year.
Yes,
And that was the problem, and that's what started the spiral effect of now you have all seven.
Well, technically, we should.
So
have-
it was staggered in the
Years
beginning.
ago, first.
In any event, the reality is we're stuck here, and Joanna, the only solution to the problem is don't stagger everyone gets 2 years, but then in 2 years, we have this exact same problem.
I understand it, but I still, what it wasn't quite called, but I still think we're bound by it until we revise it. That's the, I think, the problem. I don't think we should override it without,
It's not an override, it's very clear about staggering.
it, well,
It
I,
talks about staggering.
yes,
And it's something we fell off from doing. So we're actually backpedaling on something we should have already been doing. should have
Have
been
you, have you followed, founder control and the tiering of founder control and appointing election, had elections at the normal times? We wouldn't be talking about staggering. we'd be
Well,
talking full election.
I agree with
So
that.
now we have to figure out a way to deal with that particular issue, but going backwards to step with, Mike's comments is, I didn't look at it that way until we said it, but yes, if you do it with the director, you're allowing the directors to vote for who gets to stay on 2 years, and I'm not sure that sits well with some people. I don't know for sure, but it wouldn't sit well for me. It means that you get a controlling board in place, move things around when it becomes a chess match that I don't want to play. So I get that. But if we're, if the
Oh,
option
yeah,
is
you're
not
right.
to do it,
Just because I don't, and Mike, I know you said that, but I don't understand. Where's the issue with that?
okay, so you come in and someone's got the lowest number, and you elect a new president. The directors say, you're the president, okay, now he's got a 2-year term, so that means you decided the 2-year term as a board, as opposed to the members deciding the term.
Yep.
Right.
But technically, isn't that the right of the board? Currently under the bylaws, like we're within our rights to do that if there is a requirement to stagger. And we can't,
We are allowed to stagger how we see fit. My
Okay.
point to that is, again, I would not do that moving forward. My motion would be moving forward, we're gonna do it by vote count. But given that the whole board was wiped this time around, if we wanted to kick it off with officers only, I would be okay with it. Makes a little sense.
Tom, there's another question. Is the board policy for election terms? If not, why not have a committee to review the policy and make recommendations? The first year might be awkward, but after 3 cycles, it would balance out.
We've already done that, the election, we did review, that's what we're starting on there. We want to apply that. That's what this proposal is from the election committee. It's not-
Right, it is the committee forum proposal. This is what we discussed.
I mean,
I don't know.
other than if I want to get, a general consensus, I would say we could put it out as a poll and see what they want to say, but other than just, otherwise, I think, we as a board shouldn't just make a decision on it. And,
I think it is the board's decision.
well, I'm just saying, if
The
we
board has to make a decision. I think it's regardless of what membership thinks of that decision, we need to stagger it. One way or the other. Anyone else? Mark, anything?
Mark, do you have a comments?
Hi, everybody. I'm just skimming through the bylaws and trying to find out where it talks about staggering the elections. I think that it is in, it's on page 7 of the bylaws, I believe.
It does talk about it, but we missed it.
The founder
Yeah. So my question is on this one, basically, we're talking about the lowest 3 vote getters being up for election again next year. And then at that point, those 3 seats will then be in position for 2 years. And then the following year, the 4 seats that were not up for election will then be up for election. That's how that's going to work, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I guess there's a 2-year proposal and then there's a 3-year term.
Well, the 3 years out of the question for now. I like that it's proposed, but it's just way too soon for the proposal.
Okay.
Just ignore it.
We don't have the
Okay.
authority to make.
Oh, because of course, we have to do the 2 years for the bylaws.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, that's it, I'm in the bylaws and have that, exactly.
if we want to do it, okay. So this is within the current,
Mhm.
all right.
Mark, John, Will? This is a big one. Discussion.
Just lost it, you know, that.
You did do it right.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
I don't see it. We can take it to the next meeting.
Yeah,
Good. Nothing's gonna change.
well, I think people, if they want to think about it, I mean, we just looked at this for the first time. I think it's prudent if people want to think a little bit more.
Since, can I bring up one of the issues? Since it doesn't state anything about staggered, correct?
Outside of family control, there's nothing about staggered, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Outside of family control, there's nothing about staggered.
So why are we discussing? Why not just have 2-year terms and,
Because it's,
and then everybody can either run, or some people might choose not to run,
because
or they might not get reelected, and therefore it won't be a complete turnover of the board.
because that's what you're hoping for. But the reality is you could very well have a complete turnover. And most likely in some cases will. Which is horrible.
It is.
Horrible. Think about a company you've been working at. It's gonna mess up your budget, it's gonna mess up that. You can't have a complete turnover, it's just bad.
But what are the statistical odds of having a complete turnover?
Pretty high, just technically. Or can't close to it.
Hey, Tommy, this is Mark.
I was just a couple months in.
So if we're reading the bylaws and we try to stick as close to the bylaws as possible, and we look at paragraph 3.3, subparagraph CI. Now, granted, this is for after the founder control period ends. However, if we look at, we just had our first legitimate election, then I think that this would apply. It states that the president shall call for an election, and 3 directors shall be elected to serve until the second annual meeting follow their election. 3 directors shall be elected to serve until the 3rd annual meeting. So if we stick as close as possible to the bylaws, then 3 directors would serve for 2 years, and 3 directors would serve for 3 years. And that would create the stagger.
Mark, I agree with that, but founder control was over 2 years ago.
And you're missing a director.
But you didn't have an annual election last year, so it doesn't count.
No, it actually does count, because what was supposed to happen is the appointed directors were supposed to end their term at the first election. When there was supposed to be someone appointed at that point, we couldn't fill it. They didn't do that. So, I mean, if you're saying we're resetting the founder control, at this point, that's still something we have to decide. Resetting the founder
Yeah, I
control,
don't think
it's
that's a
also
good
that's what we're talking about.
Right, because it's 3,
I-
here's 3 years, so not 2.
No, in 3 years, because the first one would be appointed for a partial year, then you see a 2-year commitment after that first year, that first partial year.
Yes, the end of their second term would be.
So whenever you're appointed to finish that year out, plus 2 more.
Well,
Budget meetings.
And that's still under the sections, under the heading of founder control, it's not under non-founder control. So,
I'm okay to table it if we want to.
yeah, let's, I second the tabling. I think,
I like the table.
I also want to look back at what Mark just explained to us, and also if we're going to think about making any adjustments to this, that's something that's worth putting into consideration, rather than, just how we.
The
want to-
bylaws don't specifically address our particular situation here.
I understand.
We're gonna have to go with the best possible interpretation that we can and go from there. The intent clearly by the bylaws is to have staggered positions, but it's not clearly written. So we're going to just have to make a best judgment call on this one.
Well, I think it makes sense to do a 2 and 3, I think that makes the most sense.
And that's just initially, after which point, then you are on a 2-year staggered. It's not like certain seats serve for 3 years. Everybody serves 2 years. It's just a matter of who's up for election when.
Yes, I understand the point of we're trying to initiate something that will cause the staggered. So,
Because the initial event would have been the 2 board members that were appointed by the founder carry over and appoint the other board members by term of founder control, so it gives them a partial deal plus 2 years of appointment on the second year after their appointment, or the third year. So, second election after the appointment. So that's where that 3 years comes from. It's not really a full 3-year term. It's designed to be,
yes, I understand. We're trying to, do something, and I think it makes sense to go back and try to create the stagger and then move forward
In
with
that
2.
case, you'd already served, both of you have already served a partial year the year before, and your term will be up at the end of it.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie, it's really up to you, Sid. I'll put in the vote for however you all want the motion for.
Well, right now currently, the motion thing is to table this discussion, so whether,
Then let's do that. I'll move to amend my motion. I'll amend the motion to table this to next month's board meeting.
second that.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. All right. Board liaison assignments. Okay, this is why I have a printout here for the board.
Okay.
This is going through our current committees. I want to do a quick rundown as best as possible. We do need to appoint board liaisons to the committees.
Okay.
So our first committee here in question is the ARC committee. I'll make a motion to nominate Mark for that, because he had expressed interest in being a liaison to the arts.
All right, second it. Mark?
I accept the nomination.
All right, awesome.
All those in favor?
Anybody else prefer to do it?
That's the time. Does anyone else prefer to do it?
Anyone prefer?
Oh,
Just Mike, I thought you were.
no, I don't think we did. That was the time to do it.
I think when you go to vote for something like that, you gotta make sure you ask, is there someone else who would like to do it?
Okay.
I completely concur. Is there anyone else that wants to be the liaison to the art committee?
Vote for Mark.
All those in favor, say Mark.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm gonna backpedal for 1 second here, just because there's one, I need to address that's not on this list. We don't have a committee for it, we need a liaison to the CDD. Matt has offered that position and volunteered. I'm gonna help him through it, and I think it's a great idea. So I will nominate Matt, I'll make a motion to nominate Matt.
That's it.
Thank you. Anyone want it? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None. Election committee. I have no nominations for this. Anyone want to do the liaison to the election committee? Sure. I don't know if I recommend it. Personal.
Let's come back.
Let's come back to that.
Motion, come back to the election.
Come back.
See what we go through and see if there's access to that.
I didn't make a motion on it. We come back.
About the financial
We
committee?
need one by the next
Election.
meeting.
Yeah, we need for potential going
Look, if there's anything lacking that nobody wants, I'll take the spot, but you know, we'll come back to it. Finance committee. I would make a motion to nominate John.
All right.
Anyone against that and want it? He's the man. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Motion carried. Finding committee. I'll make a motion to nominate Will.
Oh, I think he was already,
Alright.
Right.
was, I just want to make sure you still want it.
He's on.
It's like, I'll keep it.
All right.
I'll do it.
I'm gonna pass it, we'll see.
Oh,
I rescind
second.
that motion.
Oh, rescinded.
Good night.
I think, yeah, we're good on that one.
Why not review recognition? And,
I just, do you want to vote? Okay, we have a grounds committee here, folks, that I have been liaison for. I would like to make a motion to decommission that.
I'll second that.
Okay, that committee doesn't do anything, folks.
I was gonna say, what did we do?
Well, I used to try to get it together and it ended up being more of a Westlake committee and, which worked great for Westlake, but.
It did? Did we miss something?
Well, you will, keep reading this packet, you missed something huge. No, the idea was that they have a committee that is for all the grounds, and, you know, we kind of fixed that by going with one landscaper. They meet with Heather, any problems get reported through the ticketing system, it's just an unnecessary thing.
Okay.
So, all those in favor of decommissioning the ground committee,
I'll second it.
all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Motion passed. Social committee, so Hannah Wells is the liaison and chairperson for that committee.
I guess, there hasn't anybody wanting to lead it otherwise.
Okay, well, we're gonna leave that one.
Yeah. I'll keep planning with
I
it.
was
so.
gonna say, I think that the.
You're doing great work, Johanna.
board
Thank you.
versus, the chair people creates a dynamic that we usually don't get.
Oh, I agree, 100%. Yeah. The problem
Not
is,
that I don't want to-
no, it's for a lack of, we don't have. We have a committee, and especially if I could explain the social committee a little bit, you have a committee that's pretty much Johanna, and I help her out as much as I can with that if possible. But basically, you have different, I'm sorry? What?
I'm supposed to, maybe I haven't attended.
But it's okay, because you have certain people that are passionate about certain events, so they'll show up
Well-
for that event to help out during the year.
The mom, I mean, they're not officially, but they're active, they just don't like it. Moms who tend to be busy
As well.
It's.
But in my
no big
opinion,
deal.
that's okay. If someone's passionate about a single event, come to the committee, you can help out during the weekend, but it makes it very difficult. That's just why that committee just has it set up that. way. You have to have enough dedicated.
But the events are kind of going on. so.
That's it, and it's
Very
everywhere.
nice.
Which brings me to the question I had when I was looking at Joanne, the lists of your committee members.
The only update I have is, Cammie was originally, I believe, doing a lot of the Easter stuff. She's now decided to retire. Jessica Johnson is still, Marianne, still pretty much active. I'm not so sure.
So Cammy, Barb, and Lindsay, I can remove.
Yeah, you can, yeah, those two, I would say, probably.
There's three, Tammy, Barb, and Lindsay.
I'll leave Lindsay for now, I think,
Okay.
but,
Cammy and Barb.
and I think I should probably add a few, and I'll get those names.
If you could get any names,
I'll
and
make a note.
addresses, and phone numbers, and emails tomorrow, because I plan on updating this list and getting it all onto the board.
All right, I would do the best I can with that.
Thanks for your time. We said remove Cammy and Barb, keep Lindsay.
Yes, keep Lindsay at this point. And then I'll try to get you a few names. I mean, there's actually several names that participants that, they participate a lot and they do volunteer work for us, but I'll just put them on there.
Is there Westlake committee?
Okay, so Westlake committee.
That's my, appointment was the
So, Westlake has their own committee, they discuss all types of things. What do you guys discuss?
Well, the only thing we discussed thus far is, of course, the issue with groundskeeping.
It's the landscape.
You fund the grounds.
That's kind of what I started with the grounds. They have their own Westlake committee that just really deals with the grounds in their community. They have, it all started with swales. That's where it all started with a couple things, but that's the only community with swales. And they take very special care, they pay extra money for landscaping. They require something. In addition to, I will say, Westlake, appallingly got left out of any landscaping maintenance. Still, they weren't mulched. I don't know how it happened. It's just that paying monthly for all this. Funds were being used, but not being used properly. So they had that.
So on top of that, though, because it's a committee of three, that's what the charter states, and the board member is ex officio at that point, but we basically may have a stuff of resignation. And that means we're elected, the neighborhood elected the people on that. So we would have to have another election to replace that person. Election.
So I'm going to nominate Kathy for the liaison.
You don't have to nominate her by automatic,
So she's by
because she lives there.
because you were, and you were on the Westlake committee prior, right?
No.
No,
No, you weren't.
no.
So Kathy's going to be the liaison, and we currently have no members, right?
No.
But
I only say because the sheet I have has.
I sent you an email, Esther Wisdom is a board member of July on the chair.
Okay.
yeah, they have your name.
Yeah, Sean, you're the chair. And then
You're the
Kathy-
chair.
Kathy, you're gonna be the liaison. Okay. Working off a little bit.
So that brings us back to the, I guess, the election committee is the only one pending.
Yeah, I mean, I would make a motion to nominate myself. Hmm?
I'll second it. And someone else.
You did just step down from another committee with the funds.
I did.
That means you might not have an election committee next time.
We're gonna have a good election.
Next meeting.
I mean, but this, way that level, but should the president be a liaison to a committee? Should that be delegated to board members because you're occupying a lot of those?
With a lot of-
I-
Any officers?
I'll tell you this,
I have a problem. The more committees we have.
I agree with that 100%. I really don't want to be on committees, but this particular one, with our electronic setup process, I don't mind at all, because it crosses pairs with IT, and that always comes across my desk regardless. So I don't mind, and if there is, if it comes around election time and we need to hand it off.
Well, typically, anyone who's up for election is allowed to.
As a liaison, as part of the committee.
Liaisons do not get a vote in anything, they only get to.
Report, back and forth, give feedback.
I was just referring to.
Well, I guess I should have qualified that. They're allowed to be on the committee, but they can't participate in counting the ballots and collecting the ballots. So I don't know what they would do, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'll be honest, if we look at, I was liaison of the election committee, if we look at what transpired this year. I set up the entire electronic ballot, I tested it through and through, thick and thin. I probably spent a good 2 months on it, right? Made sure it was tested, presented to Sean, presented to the election committee, made sure everything was good, presented it to our management, and made sure everything was good, presented to the board. And at that point, once we were ready to start off the election,
Walk away.
I walked away, I handed all logged in, I was absolutely locked out. So this is giving you an idea.
I changed the password, and said everyone was locked out. So
I thought it went well.
I did, it went well.
So I think,
Other than the counting, that's part that I want to do next time.
Well, I kind of know, we're gonna do a split meeting. I don't want to do that very. Anyway, okay, all those in favor of me being the liaison of the election committee? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Just one last thing, if I may. So Westlake has one, do the other parts of the community know that they can choose to create their own
Maybe loaded question. Do they know? I don't know if they know. But they should know. It'd be great if we could get or afford it.
Only for service areas at this point. So,
So. So the board's.
what the force of communities.
Okay. Move on. Okay, committee chairman assignment. I'm gonna make a motion to discuss and appoint committee chairs.
Okay, so. I'm sorry, what were you doing now?
The committee chair roles. What's this? Maybe 1 second that.
I'll second that.
Okay. I just want to go through and make sure the documentation is correct for all the chairs that we have. So we have the chairperson for the ARC is still Daniel Rothrock, as far as I'm aware, correct? Chairperson for the election committee, Sean Rowland, correct? Correct. Chairperson for the finance committee, we have Sean Rowland. That's correct. Okay. Finance committee, we have Bernie.
Still-
So Bernie's actually moving out of the neighborhood in May. It's as long as she'll be here.
So let me ask you this, do we have Rachel?
I can reach out to her. I'll send her an email, see if she's still on board. But we're still gonna need another chairperson and at least one more person.
Should we put out another marketing?
Yeah,
Maybe I'll put on another one.
yeah, we need to grab 2 more people for that.
Okay.
We'll leave it the way it is for now. I'll remove Bernie. Email me, let me know what Rachel says.
Okay.
All right, grounds committee, social committee, Joanne. Westlake committee chairperson, Sean. Okay. Make a motion to rescind that last motion.
Okay, a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I didn't hear that.
We rescinded
I just
the,
rescinded that last motion because
for the assignments, I think we're,
we didn't reassign any chair.
Okay. So, no motion made whatsoever.
No, just a discussion.
Got it.
Okay, Westlake Common Area irrigation. I'm gonna make several motions on this one, and we're gonna talk about it, and I think the best to talk about it is in this order, and we're gonna need a lot of help from Heather here, who knows most about this. Let's start off with the island landscaping, total cost coming in at $2,961.25. And by the way, we discussed this, folks, this is to improve and fix problems in Westlake landscaping, as I kind of hinted to earlier. It's my understanding all this is within the Westlake fund.
That was gonna be my question to Sean.
If the paybacks come back from the master list, you don't have them.
So this all is within the Westlake fund. There's money transferring issues, that's a separate issue, but this is budget.
so this is so this, I'm looking at it right now. We see a landscaping at 3,961, irrigation 3,092. The berm area, 3,630. Yeah,
Yeah, 14 and change, this is the berm area along the. fence, I
14,
believe.
so that's, okay, so that's the total. I see the grinding of the stump and the mulch. So that's,
The stump was a resident request.
Some in the island area.
I think it's well worth the 150. Mulch is mulch.
I'm trying,
And the irrigation is a parts repair and a parts addition.
okay, so we're adding on to the current irrigation.
Well, because we need the irrigation to support the landscape. right? So.
Oh, that makes
so
sense.
Part of it's an increase, but we also have water hammer issues on one of the wells there that's causing damage to a lot of the other heads.
Okay,
So
so,
even if you weren't doing any of this, you'd still need to do.
We'd still be
hammer
doing it
issue.
as the irrigation part.
okay,
It might be a little bit cheaper, but probably not.
We also
Now,
have a
looking-
cutoff time for rain, which is actually state law with the pump. So that would be something that needs to be, but I didn't see the quote, so I don't know what's going on with that. Something I'm not sure. So
It's not on the quote. That was my thing with this quote from Sunrise, is that while they put the quantities of items, they didn't give us a unit rate. Like, you know, what
Like
is
the
their
each price?
hourly rate? What is the cost for these 3-gallon plants that they're doing? All I see here is quantities and one big total.
so there's labor here.
Right,
Yes.
there's labor at, okay, so take the first one, the island landscaping. Right here, you have 30 hours. At what rate?
That is a valid question. What is the quantity? You say 30 per hour?
That just tells me that they're gonna do 30 hours worth of work on this landscaping, but at what rate? What's the hourly rate?
I guess it's a valid question.
Have to ask that tomorrow.
Okay. So-
Yeah, so like, I didn't see that on any of their quotes. They just said, gave us quantities and one total.
16 hours, yeah, I see what you're saying, there's no,
breakdown, basically.
Do we want to send this all back to the quota?
It's our only quote.
Is that only
So-
quote or all?
So let me interject that, why it's your own quote. Because you have a contract with Sunrise. And if Sunrise is in Westlake and they're maintaining the common grounds, and this is with any contractor, because I've dealt with this in other properties, they'll want to get other quotes from other contractors.
The contract for maintenance, not for-
Anyway,
Yeah, but
they will,
they're.
I'm not
excuse me.
finished, let me finish my
Okay.
statement. What contractors will tell you is that, yes, you can go ahead and have another contractor come in, but it's gonna be guaranteed, it's gonna be warranted by the contractor that installed it. So then if you have another contractor you have a contract with, it's maintaining that common area, that another contractor installed that has warranty, then you're gonna butt heads, because if something goes wrong, then the one that installed is gonna blame the one that's maintaining.
Again, you can have a maintenance contract and you can have an installation.
Oh, you
contract.
can do that, you can definitely do that, but I'm just telling you what has been my experience with contractors when those conflicts.
Unless you, whatever they want to charge you.
Not really. In my opinion, I disagree entirely. No, it's in our best interest to do this with Sunrise. They are going to maintain it. They are going to warranty it. They're going to be probably in the best bet to do the best parts too. Here's what I'm saying is, I agree with getting an outside quote and then presenting back to Sunrise and being, why, fix this. It's in their best interest that they want this to go through.
Right.
So, yes, maybe you should go back to them and say, hey, you weren't billing us properly. You didn't get your invoices right. We need to spell them out. We need detailed invoice information on these quotes, and we're gonna get an outside quote to verify. We want apples and apples. We want you to do the work, but it's gotta make sense. That would be my advice and my take on it.
I agree.
And I totally
Yeah,
agree with
we
that.
should get the leverage is one thing. I'm saying to take the extra quote.
Right. And
If
it's-
someone comes in at half the price, you don't want to question why.
You're gonna question why, but yeah, it's in our best interest to work with Sunrise to get it done, but not the Sunrise.
Well,
Yeah, I do agree, but it someone says, well, this is what's included. And another firm may say, oh, this is what is included in my code, this is what's included in my. So it's almost like a learning process. Then you find out what's included, what's not included. And then.
You find out you needed something when the
Yeah,
other one.
and, nobody's a specialist in everything. Maybe having, in a few other quotes puts us in a better position to know what we need to know, at least just say, and itemize.
Now,
Exactly.
I agree with all that. The only one I wouldn't recommend doing that is the irrigation, because they're the ones that look at it. Even if I have someone else, if you have someone else come in here and work on the irrigation system, I guarantee you, they're gonna point at that irrigation work every time they get, whether we believe it to be accurate or not. But as far as the trees and the landscaping, let's at least get everything else we quoted.
Well, just to interject, is the problem that with the air conditioner that needs to be repaired, is that something that is urgent or, you know, or
The hammering,
the hammering?
yeah, because what's happening is that it's causing more damage to the parts.
So-
You're having a bigger issue.
So is it something we want to consider to do the repair and then re-quote the rest at this point? I
Well,
just want to put that out there. If we have a problem,
The repair falls under one budget, and the expansion falls under another general line item. So we have a budget for irrigation repairs, and it should be, trust me, anyone will put it off if it's supposed. But I agree with her. Some things we have, hammering pipes forward in the front, and the longer we wait, the worse it's going to get.
so, well, I would make a motion that we go ahead with the repair and then we'll go ahead and request a bar revisement to this quote and perhaps a second quote for,
Let's
go as a comparison.
let's do it.
Second.
Okay.
Okay,
The motion is for the repair.
yes.
Yes.
It's second. All those in favor of repairing the irrigation?
Yes.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. I'll make another motion here. All those in favor of tabling the island landscaping, berm area, stub grinding, and mulch till the next meeting where we can get at least the second quote, not the third quote done, and an itemized detailed quote from Sunrise.
I'll second that.
second,
All those in favor?
Hey, hey, this is Mark.
Yes, Mark. I'm sorry, we did not mean to exclude you from that if you did not hear.
No, that's fine. Just a quick question. Do we, in regards to all the other projects with Westlake, do we have anybody on with Westlake or a representative from Westlake that would like to give their opinion on having to delay these projects for another month?
Actually, that was something I was going to bring up in his motion, that I actually would like the board to consider, that the committee discuss it and go over your proposal, because we don't even know what you're planning to do, it may be completely outside of the scope of the topic.
In regards to Westlake,
Mhm.
Scott Capsola, live in there. What's the rush to get all this done when we obviously don't have the money to do it?
We have the money to do it. It is.
We're waiting on the HOA money from the master, we don't have it.
It's there, it just needs to be.
It just needs.
Why do we all have to kind of finish talking?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Again, what's the rush? Why do we have to go through all our money at once? Is it something that we need, or is it something that we want?
Well, in my opinion, in my experience thus far with dealing with Westlake in particular, and especially Westlake's landscaping in particular, this was a rush to get done over 2 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I could sit out it all year.
I'm not talking all year, but it's not.
I'm just saying, I don't really have a rush to do it. Here's the thing, we have quotes on table, so we could sit on it, and then we have management going through the entire quoting process all over that at some point in time. because they're gonna be down. So we can't sit on it.
3 gallon.
My only thought was, as I talked to Heather earlier too, especially when they're gonna start to do the mulching project there, I want to also get the mulching project approved for the rest of the community. This way we don't have outdated mulch throughout the entire community. So there's not really a rush, but
It just seems that way when we're worried, first we worried about
Yeah,
here.
it's just that this-
On the burn, that was the big discussion, and then now this is almost trumped that,
That's 30.
and we haven't heard anything about the burn, really.
well, the bird's in here for
Yeah.
30
It's a
seconds.
bunch
You
of
get
stuff.
105 of these.
My idea is let's work on one
24
big project at a
50
time,
of these.
and then that way we put all our thoughts and energy into one project, move on to another project, so we can all concentrate on one thing at a time. Like fixing the irrigation, that is obviously a need,
Sure.
but let's not bring everything to the table at once.
Because what happens is
Scott,
people watch.
address that a little bit.
And then they say, okay, you say we're going to
Needs
do
to be
that.
added. The
And you
reality
guys
is that we've been talking about this almost
You
for
know,
half.
$15,
It's not something we're rushing into.
$2,
It's taking this long.
You see what I'm saying?
So some of the things that we're trying to propose are things that, you know, we built into the budget to take care of, which are in the budget, but not talking about spending extra money. So, I promise you, even after the approval from the board, it could take months to get this budget finished.
So
So,
then if the budget isn't finished,
You see what I'm saying? So sometimes.
then you just said the budget's not finished.
no, it said budget was finished. It's included in the budget. We approved the budget in October. Actually.
November.
November.
So again, back to the burn, we don't know how much that's gonna cost, and then we're moving to other things.
It's actually.
So like the berm on the, whatever the three options, we haven't even picked an option, and it varies in price. Then we're moving to go pick other things. Before we know,
Which
that's
is
my
not
point, is
like the Facebook poll like that.
the three options that you guys discussed right here, right? We haven't even chosen one of those yet.
That's on next month's agenda.
Okay, so
The,
we're kind of bouncing back and forth on some major issues on Westlake. When Westlake is a smaller community, it's unique because only we pay the money into that. And that HOA keeps going up every year.
It's not me.
Does anyone else pay HOA
Yes.
in Westlake? Does anyone else pay a monthly HOA in
Yes.
Fishhawk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or we use, or the segments.
There's
And
three,
they should
there's
have
a
to
sage
say, they should have the
road,
same thing what I'm discussing, is not rushing to everything and not bringing everything to the table at once. And not wanting your HOA to go up every month or every year. Since I lived here in 2019, our HOA's gone up every year.
Scott, we're bridging two different conversations. But one is HOA increases and one is landscaping that's pre-budgeted for and has been talked about for over 2 years. I agree with slowing down the pace,
Okay,
like I said, but my agreement on slowing down the pace, is slowing down the pace to get proper quoting. And to give the Westlake committee the option, the time, a 1 month timeframe, to look at the landscaping options and discuss what they want. But to be a little more clear, I would really hope to pass all this in April.
I'm sorry.
I would really hope to pass all this in April. This is an over 2 year discussion.
It's over 2 years, we haven't got a final price. That's my point.
We haven't
It's,
started quoting until just this past month.
so before, you know, we move on one project, let's get a quote and
I agree with you, Scott. I think that's what we're doing, right?
yes.
All right.
Let's move on to pressure washing.
Before we leave Sunrise, may I ask you a question? Out on the strong box, whatever that is.
Strong.
Yeah, the insurance, certificate of insurance for Sunrise has expired.
It hasn't. I have the updated in our system, but that is a glitch. I cannot get them to fix it. I have asked over and over again, and there's a glitch on that one. So you're gonna see that it's the only one you see out of all the contractors that it pops up. But I have their updated when the board,
So you have the
when the
ones-
board approved the contract, the certificate of liability, workers' comp, and the W-9 were all included in that. So we have.
Like I
Believe
said,
me, I've submitted it to them and they just, it doesn't update that.
okay.
Yeah.
Just checking,
Mhm.
sorry. Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion here. Motion here is to discuss and approve years diversify for pressure washing of the pool area. I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. No, I made the motion for years. We could really talk about it. I just want to.
Okay, so Gears is in
It
here.
came in at
yes.
2,600. We had a Green Earth quote coming at 3,600 and Izzo Exteriors coming at 2,790.
What's the square footage?
So you said Green Earth.
We got three in there. We have Green Earth, Gears, and Izzo.
Okay, so
Proposal
Gears.
here,
Okay, I see it.
just by price.
Too much
Good.
of a long pressure, you know, it's-
I don't see, well,
No, dear.
I was gonna say, they don't-
There's a breakdown, is that?
is it Izzo?
Mhm.
but not,
Yeah, someone measured it though, so, yeah, 1 quarter.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
that's the measure.
yeah.
They just didn't include it.
So I've seen quotes, recent quotes for 11 and 10 cents per square foot, as well as asking.
This looks like 11 cents.
Okay, so it's in the ballpark. it's 11.
So we've got a maintenance wash and a main wash for 11 cents. We've got a building wash and paint prep for 25 cents. This is Izzo,
That's Izzo.
not Greer. Greer does not break it down that way,
But if you did the math, you could do it out. So a little cheaper.
and then I'll ask this, Heather, you met with all three, correct?
Yes.
Do you have a preference and why?
The one, the gears we worked with in Sagewood, and they've done a really good job. Never had a problem. No complaints. I don't have any experience with the other two. Izzo is a company that has done a lot of work for our communities. They're a social on call. And so they come highly recommended. And he's the one that was actually out there telling me when you and I were.
Okay.
And he is very detailed.
Man,
And he also provided us a quote for painting the building, because I need that also.
well, that was my question. They're prepping they're cleaning it and prepping it to paint it. Are we going to move forward with painting it?
No, that's not yet, because that's gonna be later on this year is what I'd like to do.
But
I need to
this
get
year.
quotes. Right.
I'm sorry, where exactly, where are we painting? Is it the?
No, we're not painting anything right now. We're just pressure washing all the hardscapes around the pool, the surrounding walkway, not all the sidewalks, the surrounding walkway, the retaining wall and the building.
But the painting is something that was in plans.
So Izzo also provided me a quote while he was there to repaint the building, because he and I were discussing down the road, I need to get a quote to paint. He said he painted also.
Okay.
So
Well, and
while I was
he's
there, it kind of
said a
saved
10
me, it saved me a trip back and forth.
10% discount to if you go and it's paired with the
Yeah,
bill.
Right, but we need,
Is that
if we're gonna paint it,
Consider?
you're gonna pressure wash it and prep it to paint.
Well, having not
Need to
seen
paint
what
another.
the cost of the.
well, he'll clean it
Right,
again.
wash it again.
If, let's say you hired him, he would just clean it again, but that's all included in the quote that I received to repaint too. But, so, I mean, I don't know anything about the other company, other than he's retired 30 years, military and Marine, that's all I know. I don't know anything other than him. I would choose either Gears or Izzo.
Now, on Izzo's, it does say that they would give us a 10% discount on the approval of the wash if it's paired with the painting.
Mhm.
How much of a savings is that, having not seen the painting close?
Yeah, he is still yet to give that to me. He's gonna turn that into me. So.
Well, do we want to, if that's in the plans, is it for this year? Is that something we
Yeah,
want to
that's what
wait?
I'd like to do, is get it repainted this year.
Did you budget?
But that's reserves, Kathy. So that's reserves. But what needs to be done right now is that whole area needs to be pressure washed. It's pretty bad, and really would like to get it done before the kids get out of school. Because it really, I can't shut that place down for almost a week in the summertime. So I think you'd have more disgruntled than saving on the 10%. I could talk him down on the painting and just say, hey, you know. But that's up to you. Gears has done a lot of work for us, but they don't paint.
So here's the one that you have a lot of experience with, Izzo's the one
That our company has done a lot of work with a lot of our communities.
so the company has relationship, or experience with one, and you have experience with the other.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, from the outstations, this is Mark.
Mark?
Hey, looking at the different quotes, I prefer Izzo's over the others. It's more detailed. It breaks it down. It gives you square footage. It gives you price per square foot, and we know exactly what we're paying for. The other ones don't do that. It's just a bunch of words and then arbitrary number thrown out there. So I appreciate the detailed transparency. Over.
Copy that, Mark.
Yeah, copy that.
See, whoa, so.
I was gonna say,
It's a $200 difference between the two quotes.
I mean, I have no problem with going with the gears. If we've had no problem with it and they know exactly what they're supposed to be
Is the
doing.
warranty explicit on what they do? On the insurance, all that stuff, on this questions I asked.
I presume yes, otherwise I wouldn't need it.
what
Whether they got a warranty for damages and.
Right. I was gonna say, that was gonna be my question. Do they have insurance and workman's comp?
Yeah, I don't get quotes from anybody that doesn't have proper coverage. I mentioned that last night during the orientation.
So
So
here,
they have to have workers' comp and the general liability.
do we want to spend an extra $200 on a nicer invoice breakdown and the possibility that we end up hiring them back and a 10% savings for painting, or do we want to save the $200?
What's the total for paying? It's 10%.
We don't have.
We don't have
He's
the
sending
coverage.
it to me tomorrow.
Which the paying, save you $1,000, if you done the pressure washing, and it's a $200 difference, doesn't make sense.
Assuming they.
Assuming that's.
Yeah, on that paint quote, could we have a specify what type of paint we use?
He uses,
For paints.
no,
I had recommended an exterior shell only.
that's what it is, it's Sherman
Yeah.
Williams.
Sure.
I was like Benjamin, no, it's Sherman Williams. Yeah. Hold on, let me.
Well, I mean, the other option is to postpone until we can see that, you know, that painting.
We can.
Oh, no, I do have the repainting quote, hold on a minute.
Okay,
Yeah, but what's this?
This is the one that quoted with the CDD too, for that as well. $5,994. So it was $66.60, and then he deducted the 10%.
yeah.
So he's quoting $59.94 to paint.
So,
Possible savings for the painting, as long as this quote is respectful from the others. Better detail.
what do we think?
And it
we
is
should do?
Sherman Williams Emerald Paint. Is what he's quoting.
That's their other.
I'm on page.
All right, so, let me re-ask, are we thinking Izzo? Or are we thinking table? I'm against tabling it, folks, trust me, we've done this before, the table sits in the meeting, I've never done
My motion is to sign.
Well, if we're gonna do the painting, I would be interested, you know. Perhaps,
Well,
it's hard to,
but if we do go with the ISO, and along with the painting and get the 10% off on this, ISO actually is less money, yes.
It's the end of it. So, folks, it's $200 difference, I will amend my motion, can I get a second?
second it?
Okay, my motion is that we hire Izzo Exteriors for $2798.61 to power wash the pool. Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, event size. Got a motion here. My motion I'm making is to approve a max expenditure of $500 for events for yard sign and banners. All costs are to be absorbed under the community defense budget line. The reason I made the motion of a $500 max budget is because I believe we're gonna come in way under that. Sean had provided coupon codes, I still have the address in there, and it gives Jennifer the freedom to design and get them done, hopefully tomorrow. Under $500 for all three events, because otherwise that is very large here.
Right, 40%. Okay, in addition to that, though, if you're hoping to amend your motion, you can like allow a little bit of funding to buy some steel pipes to make.
Yes. Yes, yeah, we had that conversation. Yeah, whoever wants to erect these things, please.
And it's included in getting the signs.
Galvanized pipe is pricey, probably a couple hundred.
So anyway, that's why I did that, because I didn't want to waste 20 minutes going over the designs and everything and all like that. Jennifer is a great honest with judgment. All those in favor?
Aye.
I-
Motion carries. Okay, reserve expenditure. I am asking for approval of roughly an $8,000 reserve expenditure regarding community access control, security cameras, network upgrade for the upgrade replacement project that's currently underway. Which is why provide you all with, Scott, did you get one?
Here a second.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I'm sorry, can I get a second?
Second,
This is a project that I'm already currently underway. The sheet you're looking at here is kind of a revised parts material here of what I currently have on order, have here ready, and still need to order to complete the project. Project got a little bit bigger, as I said, it probably would. Pre-approved out of operating costs for 18,000 already. I had spoken to Sean about it as well. I'm searching for another 7,000 to 8,000 out of reserve costs, and honestly, probably less, because the last action item here is going to save us money as well for that. But that's where we are, folks. I'm just looking to make sure we can reserve that money to complete this project.
and so the highlighted portions is the,
Highlighted portions are just things I've already purchased.
okay, so we're just pending these other items that are not highlighted.
Correct. And it's not really pending because of cost. Again, we're already pre-approved up to 18, and it's just pending because of inventory status. I can't get everything, and I want to be able to purchase for this project as I do it, because some things may change. If I had, good Cat 6 copper coming from here to part B, then I don't need a $500 register. But I have it all in your budget in case I do.
Okay,
And for anyone new in board members, this is not a project that was started back in, well, budgeting for it was started back in November, October. And I knew there would be a reserve expense because part of this product is an upgrade, part of it is a complete replacement. So we can draw some items from reserve, particularly just about a whole access control system. That's very well.
Also, just for this extended use, and so you have it before, and very secure.
Yeah, and which is the other reason for the increase. I was here kind of walking around with Heather and we're looking at cameras. The original idea was to replace exactly what we had, not expand upon that. And the reality is what we had isn't good either. So even if I replace just what we have, it's not nearly enough. I think there's 8 cameras in this building, and this is budgeted for 20, which is more of the right number than the lot. We have no view in the park, no view in the parking lots. There's just too much open area that we don't have view on. And again, it was for different reasons, because this building is under lock and key. Hopefully board approval after this implementation, this will be under regular access control system.
Which one of these is your camera?
The G4 bolts and the
Actually, can run.
Camera.
It's going to be unified G4 boards.
You said 20 and you have 30.
We decided to get another 5 feet apart. Another 5 feet. I'm just.
You said 20 and I was, okay,
Sorry.
I was just trying to understand.
There's other things we may or may not need. There's another big ticket item in unified access cards. That comes to $4,600.
how many do you get with kit 3?
I thought there were 50.
I just ordered for the registration.
Thought there were 50. I gotta open it up. But that's the other thing. I'm still not 100% convinced if our old cards can't be reactivated with the new system. I've yet to try it. If I can, I'm not gonna spend that $4,600.
makes sense. So the question is that to see if the cards, but we're obviously gonna need to get it if we have the whole system.
My question is for the approval of $8,000 to finish this product or less than.
I would say I would go ahead with the approval. We should finish this project and get this available.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right.
Thank you. Really hard continuing this project.
Well, it's good. I'm looking forward to having this open and having more security. So, all right.
All right. Let's talk about the 2021 audit. I'll make a motion here to table the 2021 audit.
Second,
Anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns on that?
Well, I think that,
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries.
As a comment before you close that, probably will not because of $6 in taxes. Other taxes.
Yeah, it would. Motion being made to discuss and approve the YMCA swim lesson agreement.
I'll second that motion.
All right, anyone?
I have a question on that.
Yes.
It's not a consumption. So what is the community's responsibility? What is the HOA's responsibility? It says something that we're supposed to, as I read through it, something to the effect that the community is supposed to solicit people to give this? Did I misread that?
What I'll do is I'll put out a notification like we did last year, and I provide the information and contact information for the YMCA.
But just, that's all that we're just,
Yeah.
communication, not we're not signing up for a certain number of kids to do it.
They usually fill up
No.
pretty quickly.
No, I know, but that's,
Yeah,
there's no
they'll-
responsibility for us other than help them advertise.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all-
They've already done their inspection and make sure we're on the on the licenses.
Just clarification.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
So,
Okay. All right, making a motion here. Making a motion to discuss and approve the proposed amendment to all community charters. And I will read that
Oh, right.
change here.
Yes, go ahead. I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, so Article 3, Section 1, under membership of our committee charters, states that any voting member of Fishhawk Ranch West whose HOA dues are current and follows our covenant bylaws, rules, and regulations is eligible to be a member of the committee. The requested change is to omit the very first portion of that sentence. I want to omit any voting member, and I want to include any owner or resident of the units of Fishhawk Ranch West. Reason being is this is the exact verbiage and the exact way it is written in our bylaws, but wasn't adopted into our charters. So here's a significant situation. We can have a resident non-member serve on the board, but we cannot have a resident non-member serve on a committee. My thought process here is to match the bylaws. We're doing the direct opposite of what the bylaws are stating right now. And this is currently hurting us in at least one committee, where we have a member that wants to be a part of the committee, but cannot because they are a resident, non-member.
Well, I think it's about change. I think we should encourage anyone that wants that. In my committee, I allow. What's the British saying? There's some people that are some of those are renters.
if it's a warm body, you want them.
You know, we'll be very specific. We have someone on the financial committee that is very, not on the financial committee, that
But-
should be on the financial. committee.
But I am saying it does apply to other.
It applies across the board because it does not match our current bylaws. It's just contradicting.
So I think we should go ahead, and I think that's a fine.
I agree.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All opposed. No opposed.
No, yeah, because that's assuming the bylaws are correct.
Well, they're correct now.
Correct.
So it's right.
So we change. March?
Another conversation
Mark?
we had.
Correct, that's.
Yeah, I reviewed this and just, I support this change because owner and resident are terms that are defined in the bylaw. Any voting member is ambiguous and is not defined in the bylaws. So I support this change.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Will, I did not hear you.
He did not hear you.
Oh, I said yes.
Yeah,
I
okay.
said, I'm sorry. I was in another zone here.
Bank account. Bank account signature cards. Motion has been made to discuss and approve 2 directors to be signers on all HOA bank accounts. Both past, present, future. Second,
I'll second that.
who wants to be a signer?
Typically, it would be an officer on the bank accounts, not just.
Interesting.
But it could be.
I would gladly be a signer.
I'm sorry, this is for the accounts.
Yeah, signature cards, and sign checks.
Okay, you can have that.
It's typically a treasurer does, so.
Yeah. I would nominate myself and John for that.
Well, Sean is on treasurer.
John,
I mean, I'd like.
I would still nominate myself and John for that. I love that treasurer, but if John Calvin, the director, let's do it straight to here for myself. That's my thought.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, so maybe one more. Okay, making a motion here to discuss and approve changing from Spectrum as our internet TV service provider over Frontier at all 3 of our locations.
I'm sorry, I'll second that, but you were changing.
We're going to be changing from Spectrum, who we currently have,
Changing from Spectrum
over to
to
Frontier.
Frontier.
Cost effectiveness.
Yeah, so this is pretty simple. Right now, our speeds are, we're on copper, so our speeds are 200 by 10 copper, and we're going to be going up to a fiber line, because maybe we built on fiber, why it wasn't installed in the first place here, I don't know. 700 by 700. And our monthly expenditures right now for both Spectrum and their TV service is $750 a month. Give or take $3. My proposal is for Frontier fiber on all 3 locations and a YouTube TV streaming subscription that I can put on all the TVs here, no problem. Will come out to $450.
And the installation costs are.
No installation costs, no contract. So $455, so $300 a month we're gonna be saving. So again, that's $300 more from now till December that we could push toward the project here, and I don't have to drop necessary.
Or be closer to not the $30,000.
Or closer to not being $30,000. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
But I do have a gun, I do work for that company,
Which one?
Frontier.
Frontier? Oh, good, you worked for the good one.
I wouldn't say a
What's the better one?
But yeah,
So they didn't take you out to dinner.
Did they $25?
$25.
All right, folks, before you get carried away here, we are opening up discussion completely open to all residents.
yes,
Absolutely. Do you have anything on Zoom?
anything,
Not yet.
anyone in the audience? Anything?
That's my neighborhood. He's the one defense discussion that has the non-wood fence there.
Yeah.
Has there been a decision, you say try to reach out, has there been a decision to extend that?
That's a good question. I think you were trying to reach out to the 3 owners or 4 owners.
There are 3 owners of fences, there's a 4th that wants to have a fence.
That's it.
That's the one I'm talking about, the one that isn't a part of the wooden fence where it's stuck.
That's what started all of
That's
this.
what kind of started.
And I
off.
still haven't, yeah. that's what
Yeah,
started
it's
all
the
this.
trigger for this whole fence conversation.
Which is okay, but the point is, we don't have an answer yet, so we know definitively what we're doing with the fence. Because first it was keeping it, people want it. So once we figure out if we're replacing it, repairing it, what that cost is, then we could say, okay, are we offering it to be extended?
Or you'd have to change your architectural guidelines.
So, and that might be, that position there in Westlake might be a special amendment to the AOC, just provision to. Or.
I have a big chunk of fences coming out next month.
I know,
So you want the panels to repair the other?
please put them
And posts,
in post.
gives me more.
All right. Yes,
A common knowledge for me is something budgeted and whichever, where we're at, that have to be spent by the laws. Or, you know, you can then go, okay, you know what, let's put that in reserves.
We have to spend 90%, or have a 90% test that we spent, the expense 90% of what was collected, otherwise we would tax it 30% on.
it's not good to not spend it per se, but no, you don't have to rush in and spend it all. But the reason, and again, sorry for earlier, but the reason, again, I've been around long enough to be talking about the life of finance, landscaping problem for a very long time. But more than that is when we sit down, especially in this past budget season, we do these budgets, we do them anticipating exactly what we want to do in 2023, 2022. So it's not that we're rushing, it's that we've been waiting. And now we have the approved fund of money to get it done. So for me, it's kind of like it's on the docket, let's work on it. So again, so I understand the reason we tabled it and all, but it's not a project that honestly pushed further, because then it becomes a 2023 project and it was budgeted for 2022. And again, residents, we want to see their neighborhood, we want to see your neighborhood. I hope that clarifies. All right, folks, you got nothing I'm doing?
Thanks, everyone. Good luck this year.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Hey.
Don't leave. These are the minutes. February 17th and then the 22nd.
Yes, sorry. Board members, this spreadsheet is actually an Excel spreadsheet. That's what I have. I'm gonna fix it all. It actually has a vendors tab at the end. Which has updated contact information for all our vendors, attorneys, everyone. So I'm gonna get that out to you probably tomorrow or Sunday.
It's something that can change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we could do
Until we have, like, some sort of-
No, we could do that.